By the time you watch this, Iran might have already attacked Israel. Tim Walz's military record is under dispute, and is Harris ducking extra Trump debates? That and more on this week's America Uncovered headlines. Welcome to America Uncovered, I'm Chris Chappell. Did you know YouTube has been secretly unsubscribing people from America Uncovered? This channel would be so much bigger if it wasn't being shadow banned by YouTube. So do me a favor, and if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. My goal is to get to 600,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And now, on with the show. Let's begin with a quick shout out to my viewers who are parents. Hang in there, it ain't always easy. But you know what's making it harder? Apparently tablets. I know, how completely unintuitive. According to researchers from Canada, South Africa, and Brazil, children handed tablets early in life are angrier later on. Specifically, tablet use among 3-and-a-half-year-old children was significantly associated with higher anger and frustration the following year. The researchers say it's unclear why using tablets and mobile devices might be impacting children's development. But they clarified the study was only looking at if children used tablets and not how they used them. They also said there was evidence that appropriate tablet use with parents could actually help children identify emotions and improve behavior, rather than causing angry outbursts. While this sounds contradictory, it makes sense, even in adults. Modern technology is a powerful tool. I could reach into my pocket and in the palm of my hand, look up any piece of knowledge in recorded human history and broaden my perspective. Or I can call a celebrity ugly on their Instagram page. It's all in how you use it. Speaking of online things that make people angry, trying to cancel subscriptions. The Federal Trade Commission is finalizing the click-to-cancel proposal from the White House, which requires companies to make it just as easy to cancel subscriptions and memberships as signing up for them. President Biden's domestic policy advisor argues that companies often deliberately design their business processes to be burdensome or hard to navigate in order to deter consumers from claiming a rebate or canceling a service they no longer want, so that they can hold on to that sweet, sweet cash for just a little bit longer. Looking at you, New York Times. Speaking of hellish things that never end, war in the Middle East. As if war between Israel and Hamas wasn't bad enough, that war could soon include Iran. The U.S. is preparing for an Iran-backed attack on Israel, possibly as early as this week. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin ordered a guided missile submarine and the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier strike group to the area. The U.S. military getting involved in a war in the Middle East? If history has shown us anything about how that winds up, I'm sure it'll be widely popular, over quickly, and not create any negative unintended consequences whatsoever. Iran has vowed to attack Israel in retaliation for them assassinating Hamas's leader while he was in Tehran, possibly with a bomb. Once again, our condolences to the bomb. Mediators are once again pushing for Israel and Hamas to accept a ceasefire, and the West is calling on Iran to refrain from attacking Israel. But Iran refused, saying that a ceasefire only will delay their retaliation. And why is everyone pushing so hard for a ceasefire? Possibly because college is about to start its fall semester, and the last thing anyone wants to hear while walking to class is another drum circle. Oh, and blatant anti-Semitism, but mostly drum circles. Speaking of soldiers, the Harris campaign released a 2018 video of Democratic vice presidential nominee, Minnesota governor and veteran Tim Walz, speaking out against gun violence, and it caused quite a bit of controversy.
And we can make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war is the only place where those weapons are at.
The problem here is that even though Walz spent over 20 years in the National Guard, he never actually saw any combat. So while he may have been trained in weapons of war, he never carried said weapons into war. The Harris campaign says Walz just misspoke. Given that the Harris campaign released the video where he misspoke, I see a campaign staffer firing in the near future. But it makes sense. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've been in the middle of a conversation, there's a long, awkward pause, and I blurt out, "I've experienced the hell of combat." The problem, though, is this isn't the only time Walz implied he saw combat.
Enlisted in the Army National Guard at 17 and retired 24 years later as Command Sergeant Major and served with his battalion at Operating Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan. And I read that.
Yeah, he never served in Afghanistan. Sure, he wasn't the one who claimed that, but he also didn't correct her. That'd be like me smiling and nodding when someone says I won a Pulitzer. I didn't lie, but I also didn't not lie. Republican vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance, also a veteran, has accused Walz of stolen valor. Many veterans, like the 1,000 that signed an open letter directed towards the Trump campaign, say they are appalled by these attacks on Walz's military background. While many other veterans, like a former leader of Walz's unit who was promoted after Walz left to run for Congress, also question how he portrays his military service. What do you think? Is this truly a matter of misspeaking, or is it textbook stolen valor? If it's the latter, this could be a major issue. Questions about John Kerry's military record helped cost him the presidential election in 2004. Soldiers and veterans take stolen valor very seriously, and I should know. And what I mean by that is, I've experienced the hell of combat. And after the break, the debate over the debates. Welcome back. Donald Trump says he's open to facing Kamala Harris in 3 debates in September and has accepted invitations from ABC, Fox, and NBC News. Harris and Trump have agreed to debate on ABC on September 10th, but the Harris campaign hasn't officially agreed to any other debate. Gee, I can't imagine why a Democratic presidential nominee wouldn't be too gung-ho about debating Trump. I mean, it's not like that would ever wind up poorly for them a month and a half ago. And yes, this was only a month and a half ago. Feels like longer since we've had 8 years worth of news in only 6 weeks. The Harris campaign says that the debate about debates is over and that there will be a second debate in October, but the debate and venue have not been specified. Trump says if Harris won't debate him on Fox or NBC, he'll host town halls instead. Trump shouldn't take it too personally, though, as Harris also declined an interview with Time, who still put her on the cover of their magazine. In fact, it seems like Harris has been dodging the press altogether, having not given a single press conference or interview since being anointed, again not elected, the Democratic nominee 4 weeks ago. And yes, that was just 4 weeks ago. Man, Harris is like the opposite of Beetlejuice. No matter how many times you say her name, she never shows up. One reason she might not want to answer any questions is because Harris still hasn't released her official policy platform, though she vows she'll do it next week. So far, the closest thing she has to an official policy is joy. Invigorating joy. Unconfined, upbeat joy. Don't be sour. We've got joy over here. No questions. Because who needs specifics on how she'll handle people's anxieties about the economy or foreign conflicts growing in intensity and threatening to drag the U.S. into them when you have smiles and laughter? So much laughter. We're all gonna die in debt. At least Trump is focusing on the real issues, like how big Harris's crowds are and claiming they're faked using AI. I know what you're thinking. Finally, a candidate brave enough to tackle the most important issues the working class actually cares about. But speaking of Trump, he is apparently sensitive about his level of popularity. Case in point, Joe Rogan praised long-shot presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on his podcast.
They manipulate you, they promote narratives, and the only one who's not doing that is Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
You a fan?
Yeah, I am a fan. Yeah, he's the only one that makes sense to me.
And as you can imagine, Trump handled that with humility, recognizing that you can express admiration for someone without endorsing them. And even if Rogan was endorsing RFK Jr., Trump isn't so insecure he desires endless praise from a podcast. Just kidding, Trump posted on Truth Social saying it'll be interesting to see how loudly Rogan will be booed the next time he appears at a UFC event. Though to be fair, I don't know if Trump assumes Rogan will be booed because he praised another presidential candidate or because people saw his latest stand-up comedy special. It took you 6 years to come up with that? Rogan responded on X saying he wasn't endorsing RFK Jr., just saying he liked him as a person. He also said he's not the guy to get political information from, which is sound advice since I'm the guy you should get political information from. And if you're hearing me say that, that means you are, so congrats on making wise decisions and also probably being good looking. And like RFK Jr., I'm totally not trying to manipulate you in any way. Seriously though, you're gorgeous. Please subscribe. Speaking of Donald Trump and X, Trump spoke with Elon Musk for 2 hours in an X Spaces conversation. Leading up to it, Trump tweeted for the first time in almost a year. First a promo video, then a promise to fix the economy and the southern border crisis. Okay, but what about the size of Kamala Harris's crowds and whether or not they're fake? Come on, stick to the important issues, man. The conversation got off to a rocky start with many technical issues. Musk blames this on a cyber attack, which, if true, would be the worst cyber anything involving Musk since the Cybertruck. Want to make your driveway look like an out-of-bounds area of an N64 game? Cybertruck. I would actually love that. Now, this conversation upset many, some before it even started. As I covered earlier this week, the EU threatened to arrest Musk over it. And a Washington Post reporter asked White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre if the Biden administration would do anything to censor misinformation in the conversation. Because the only way to protect free speech is to destroy free speech. As for the conversation itself, Musk praised Trump and fully endorsed him.
I haven't been really active in politics before, and I'm just trying to point out that my track record historically has been moderate, if not moderate, slightly left. And so this is to people out there who are in the moderate camp to say, I think you should support Donald Trump for president.
And Trump praised Musk for threatening to fire striking workers, which led the United Auto Workers Union filing federal labor charges against Trump and Musk for threatening workers. Which makes sense, because if you want a pro-union president that won't block a strike, you gotta go with Democrats. Assuming you don't work for the train unions, that is. And the Harris-Walz campaign capitalized off this X conversation, sending out a fundraising letter saying they refuse to call X anything but Twitter, and that it's a platform run by the richest person in the world, and he's a MAGA lackey. It's worth mentioning that Musk didn't endorse Trump until right after his assassination attempt a month ago. So he's less of a MAGA lackey and more of a bandwagoner. Walz wants to get rid of X because it's dangerous. Even more dangerous than the weapons he carried into war. And as for Harris, it makes sense she doesn't like X, since she hates platforms, so much so she still doesn't have one of her own. While I often say social media was a mistake, as those researchers pointed out, it's not if you use it, it's how you use it. And trying to shut it down altogether borders on violating free speech. So instead of silencing the opposition, maybe offer a better alternative, even though you'll occasionally have to deal with randos calling you ugly. And here's a great idea for how to use social media. Check out this other video I know you'll enjoy. An America Uncovered wouldn't exist without your support. Click that orange button to support us on Patreon. All it takes is $1 an episode, and you can set a monthly limit. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.